what's up, fam? All right, I have two objectives in this video. The thing that probably most people are interested in, I'm gonna walk you through how to use Anking and Uworld efficiently, where you can just take Uworld QBank session, use the question IDs to just populate and unlock only those Anking cards that pertain to the questions that you got wrong, or all the ones you studied, whatever you prefer. And then I'm going to give you sort of a roadmap and workflow on how to approach and crush both clinical year, like on the wards, as well as in the shelf exams. And I just want to give a special shout out to Anel and CC and several other MS3s who have really just spent hours giving me, so a lot of this advice and help to sort of curate what I'm passing on to all of you. So this isn't my wisdom, this is really an aggregate wisdom of many people in many hours. So at any rate, without further ado, I'm going to jump right in. So I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, so for starters, you have to go to, if you Google, I'm going to back up here a little bit. So if you Google Anking Palace VIP, or just go to the Anking/VIP, I think. And it's a $5 a month subscription to get access to all of their beta tested, or all the add-ons that they're beta testing and developing. I think you can just pay for it 1 month and then delete it and use the add-on indefinitely, but always good to support their work. At any rate, if you go down to the add-ons that are being beta tested, there's one called Uworld QID to Anki search. Just follow the instructions here and install. You just download it, double click on it, and it'll install onto Anki. Once that's installed, we'll go to Anki in a second, but first I'm going to jump into Uworld. So if you go into complete, you can see I just started using Uworld. So this is a session that I did of 10 questions. I scored a bold 10 or 40% out of these 10 questions here. So you click on results, and then gives you all the questions here and all the question IDs and whatnot. But if you click here, you can click show. I want to show only the incorrect here. So these are the 6 questions out of 10 that I got incorrect. Now, if you go up here, click on question list, and it'll give you these in a comma separated value format. You just select all and hit Command C or copy, or I guess you can click that and copy it. Now, we'll jump over to Anki. You have to use this in the browser function. Once you've installed it, you'll get this Uworld option in the menu bar right here. I just want to draw attention first, before I do this, I just want to draw your attention to this fact that under the Anking step 2, there are 18,600 cards. If you click on Uworld, there's 8,600 that are tagged according to their Uworld question, and you can see these are all the QIDs. So for like this QID, there are 3 cards, etc., and some more, some less, and some aren't tagged. So you go here. I've copied all the comma separated values of the QIDs from Uworld. You click on import convert QID list to tag search, and I'm gonna Command V or just paste it in. And it does this little thing. And here are 10 cards according to those 6 questions that I got wrong. And then you can Command All and unsuspend, and then you can flag them or tag them or move them to a special deck. Whatever your workflow within Anki is, do what you do, but this is just a way that you can quickly unlock those specific cards pertaining to questions you got wrong. So now I'm going to back up a little bit and go over some more broader concepts here. So what's my recommendation before starting each clerkship? I personally think that it's a good idea to get a broad overview of that specialty. Every specialty has a little bit different approach to how they round or the structure, whatever, different approach to, how they organize pathologies, etc. And they generally have a sort of a scope of pathologies that they see. So a good way to get that overview is use a resource like Online MedEd or Boards and Beyond, for either of them for clinical sciences or step 2. Generally, they're going to be 2 to maybe 6 hours for a given rotation. And I would recommend knocking that out before you start. As an alternative, or in addition to, you could read the chapter on first aid for step 2. First aid for step 2 is not comprehensive. It's not enough for clerkships. It's not enough for shelf or step 2, but it is good for giving you that mile high overview, just an idea of the scope of that clerkship. If you want a resource that's a little bit more in depth and is a book or a PDF, Toronto Notes is my personal favorite. But frankly, if you have Amboss, a comprehensive, like, true library is really replaced by Amboss, or UpToDate or whatever have you. And then this is the big thing. So, like, if you take nothing else from this, like, I think this is the most important thing to do. And this is affirmed by many, many students I've spoken with. Uworld is the single most important resource that you're going to use. You could use Amboss, but since we all have Uworld subscriptions, might as well use that, and then use Amboss in your dedicated period. So essentially, if there are, there's approximately 4,000 questions in the Amboss QBank, and if you study 5 days a week, so giving yourself a 2-day buffer, aim for 7 days a week, but give yourself a 2-day buffer, whether that's a special weekend off or you're just working a lot. That's 260 weekdays in the year. So if you divide 4,000 by 260, that's about 15. So if you just aim to do 15 questions every single day, giving yourself a 2-day grace period every week, you'll get through the entire QBank by the end of clerkship year. So that's really, I think, the most important thing. I would start today and not stop for the rest of the year. And that would average out. Some clerkships, like medicine, have a lot more questions than others. So you could shuffle that around if you want. You could just take, let's say, if there's 600 questions on a clerkship, and then it is a 4-week clerkship, you just divide that out by the number of days you have. So, and then doing that in conjunction with the Anki or Anking workflow that I went over at the beginning, I think that's a really, really safe way to approach it. One thing that I just want to emphasize is Uworld is not an assessment tool. Uworld is a learning tool. Do not fret or even think about or give 2 thoughts to your percentage correct. As long as you're reading everything, you're going to learn the material. It's comprehensive, which means that if you don't do it all, you're not going to get everything. So it's really important to complete Uworld. Really aim to get through it as, completely by the end of each clerkship. Now, by the time that you've gotten, try and aim to be done by the end of the clerkship, so that during the week of exams, you have time to then spend going through the NBMEs. Now, NBMEs for step 2 for shelves are called the CMS forms, Clinical Mastery Series. I'm pretty sure that's what they're called. There's some offline forms, meaning that they're retired forms, and then there's online forms that are live and active. So good idea to go through all of them, and do that during the week of your exam. So between completing Uworld for each block and then doing the CMS forms, I think that you're going to be set up to not just pass the shelves, but to do well on the shelf exams. So that's kind of the big picture, I guess, workflow or approach. There are a couple of other things that I just wanted to throw out there. For each clerkship, I recommend looking up resources that are specific for that clerkship, that specialty. So in the case that, like, I start with the emergency medicine, there is a podcast called the EM Clerkship Podcast, and I just started listening to it. It's phenomenal. And most specialties have some podcasts. So there's lots of great resources to listen to. some that are just universally great across the board. The Divine Inspiration podcast, Emma Holiday and Dr. High Yield. I haven't used those personally, but those I've had several classmates, CC and Anel, told me about those. Along those lines, I'm gonna just draw your attention to this document that some classmates put together, or I think the Student Affairs Office or academic support, somebody made this, and I appreciate it. So I'm gonna scroll up. So yeah, credit to these wonderful humans, and Sunam and everybody. So it's table of contents is just broken down by clerkship. So I'm going to go to emergency medicine, and they give you pointers and tips and tricks and so on for each clerkship, which is great. But they also took a survey of students. It's not a huge number of survey respondents, but they just rated what resource was most helpful for each individual clerkship, and it changes per clerkship. So you can just take a look here. Uworld is universally ranked as number one. It's the most helpful thing that people rate. So just take a look at this. And other things like look up, patient presentations for each clerkship, because the style in surgery is vastly different than emergency medicine, which is vastly different than internal medicine, which is vastly different than pediatrics. So that's the other one, specialty specific thing that you can look up. And then some apps that some classmates draw or sort of pointed out that are helpful. Haiku, which is Epic. So Epic sites that use Epic, or MyChart, or Care Connect. Sorry, UCLA is Care Connect. You can have it on your phone or your tablet. Of course, Uworld and Anking, these are great to have. I recommend having an iPad mini or an iPad or a tablet, just so you can study and not look like you're on your phone. But either way, good to have those in your phone. Then like MD Calc or Med Calc is another one. Of course, Amboss, and then UpToDate. We all have a subscription to UpToDate. You just need to create an account while you're on campus, and then you can log on your phone and tablet. And that kind of sums up what I had for this video. As always, please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I hope this is helpful for folks. Yeah, all right, we'll see you out there. Peace.